So, we're going to be watching a Vars the Third video, one that actually piqued my interest. So this guy makes a lot of very interesting YouTube videos. We'll actually look at some of his titles and thumbnails right now, but I do like the stuff that he does. Great guy. I'm surprised I wasn't already subscribed, but you should do that yourself if you are interested in this kind of content. And of course, I'm talking about small little video essays talking about the meta and, popularity of characters and stuff like that. Why everyone plays Kazuya. Great topic to talk about. The problem with Sonic. If you don't know, watch this video and then you will know. But we're going to be watching one to myself that I think I will actually have a pretty good opinion on, is why everyone plays Snake. Now, throwing everyone in there is a little confusing, right? Because not a lot of people actually play Snake, right? He's a more popular character than, say, Joker, right? Or some other harder to play character. Snake is fun. That's like, if I were to have to say something first as to why Snake is so popular, is because he's very fun to play, he's very rewarding, he's very satisfying. And also, he's a bit of a scrub stomper. If you are like a mid-level player playing Snake, you'll probably beat everyone worse than you because they don't know how to play against Snake. So he makes you think that you're better than you actually are, which is also why you won't see a lot of Snakes in the top level. There's only really Apollo Kage, Shogun from Japan, and Alandis, if you count him. But that's a lot more representatives than I can name for like Joker. So I keep going to Joker, but whatever. Kronos as well. Yep, Kronos. MVD. I don't know why I didn't list MVD. That's funny. But you understand, right? You guys are actually naming a lot of names. Yep, Dio as well. There's a lot. And also Snake has like that factor of... he's hard to learn, but it feels good to learn him. I'm not explaining it very well. But we're going to watch this video.
For those who haven't watched my video on trappers, I highly suggest you do so after this one, but for a crash course in the class, the goal of a trapper is to orchestrate checkmate scenarios, situations where the opponent, regardless of what move they make or what button they press, will result in a negative outcome for them. Trapping isn't native to a select group of characters, as there are terms like frame trapping or ledge trapping that...
I don't know why I haven't thought about the concept of like a trap character in a long time, but it's actually pretty smart. Snake is definitely, he's got it correct. Like, Snake is one of those characters that, like, you can't really categorize into one thing because he's got a little bit of boxing, a little bit of projectile camping, and traps.
Even amongst other quirky characters, Snake is truly one of a kind. You can't find anyone else who plays like him. Archetypes do share strengths and weaknesses. For example, a weakness you can easily exploit among rushdown fighters like Captain Falcon, Fox, and Roy is their need to approach. Therefore, if your character is very good at playing defensively and waiting for them to come to you, you can still fall back on that playstyle as you gather further information. What makes Snake throw a wrench into everything is that he has a few character traits that force him and his opponent to play the game completely.
Why does this dude know too much about Smash?
A lot of what makes a character fundamentally strong and
this dude isn't a pro, right?
Smash.
He's not good.
If I could TLDR why everyone plays Snake, it would go something like this. He's a matchup check with fundies. Even if you manage to learn what to look out for, you're still facing an opponent with concrete strengths that cannot be dealt with by merely seeing them coming. Pushing that further, most of those concrete strengths...
Apollo Kage's grenade juggling is crazy.
Pushing that further,
I love that.
Most of those concrete strengths are a part of the matchup check. Chief among them would have to be his ambiguous disadvantage state. Snake's neutral B grenade at first glance is a pretty generic throwable projectile that detonates after a short time or when struck.
But it's frame one.
Young Link and Toon Link. The big difference between him and them is that his bomb comes out at literally frame 1.
I feel like, and this is going to be a weird comparison that a lot of people probably won't understand, but you can almost compare grenade and flip kick a little bit because it's like the go-to option a lot of the time because it's the best option, but that's what makes it predictable. Right? Snake, what is he going to do out of hit stun? He's going to mash the B button, hoping that your combo is not airtight. But if you hard read it, you can get a huge punish that could probably kill him or do a considerable amount of damage. Like, I'm saying the counterplay is very similar to, like, these broken moves. I still think grenade's better, low-key.
As mentioned earlier, fighters with long range lose a lot of their pressure when you get up close and personal, as they lack either the frame data or mobility.
But Snake's got that, the guy's got hands. So you can get in on Snake, but he's... CQC God over here. He doesn't care. Snake is so sick. He conceptually is really broken, but I think he's one of the more balanced characters.
Then there's up tilt, a very notorious move that needs no explanation, I'd imagine. It's a frame 6 scorpion kick that does a ton of damage, lasts a long time, has deceptively good horizontal range, and hits like a truck. Aside from being extremely fast at frame 6 and long,
frame 6 is for nerds, bro.
On one of the best in the game for its disjointed intangibility, fast startup, outrageously long coverage, and ambiguous cross-up on shield. It's a burst movement option that Snake heavily relies on giving us poor mobility.
That's the most broken part about Snake's dash hack is the distance covered.
His tilts and dash attack come at a frame 6 or earlier.
Dude's frame 6 the character, bro. Holy.
On the subject of damage, all of his normals do ridiculous amounts, easily double digits, with some dealing as high as 20 or more.
But why do people play this character? Right? All of his moves are broken.
But it's another thing that people like.
That could be said about a lot of characters.
Deals damage. He's chilling in the corner throwing grenades, Nikitas, and planting C4s everywhere, conditioning you to tunnel vision on.
Do you guys think it's fun to fight Snake? I think it's actually really fun to fight Snake. I think like using his explosives against him and like kind of thinking of it as like a little like Rubik's Cube of neutral that you have to solve in order to get in every single time, and then just like exploiting him for his bad disadvantage. A lot of people don't think it's that fun because they're bad at it, and I think that's an important little thing.
He can create situations where no matter what option you take, you're gonna get thrown into disadvantage or die. Some characters don't have an answer to Nikita. He has so many ways to kill you that you have to be ready for all of them at all times. Make even one lapse in memory or judgment, and that can make all the difference between...
Okay, so he's making a lot of good points. We're already most of the way through the video, and like all he's really talked about is how broken Snake is and how good he is in a lot of different scenarios. But the reason people play him is not really what he's touching on, which is why the Snake is so popular, and it's because like he's a dopamine character, dude. I've talked a long time ago about how people like kind of like bad or mid-level, like casual almost players. I feel like I just hit a large sphere of players when I said all that. But a lot of people kind of generally gravitate towards characters that will like take power away from you while you're playing. And it sounds weird at first, but think about how many people play Samus and enjoy just pressing the B button and then they start winning, or play Steve and they hold the B button and they start winning, or like you spin dash and like you take power or control away from yourself while playing, and like you just throw something at your opponent and they have to deal with it, right? Snake also has that too. It's a little bit more thought-provoking, which is why I think better players that enjoy having, you know, control taken away from them, I guess, like Snake. Does that make sense? I think what I said makes sense.
That's really what sums up Snake's popularity. He's an unconventional character with conventional strengths and understanding. You don't have to learn some weird gimmick like ice climbers, nor do you have to hope your opponent doesn't know how to fight you like, say, Villager. Snake is a very digestible character with straightforward moves that are good in non-straightforward ways. This also comes with the...
I like that he said that. Easy to digest moves or whatever he said. Like, if you hand someone who's only played against Snake a controller, if you hate Snake and then you played as Snake, you know what to do. And you'd be like, look, it's so broken, but you're low-key having fun when you dash attack your friend like 3 times in a row. You're like, it's satisfying. Anyone can press the B button also.
But overall, Snake is a good character. He's just as unpredictable and unconventional as your mid-tier matchup checks, but has enough practical benefits inside tools to make him a respectable top tier. And that's why so many players use him at all levels of play.
Playing Snake is low-key like playing Metal Gear Solid, dude. You think about it? It feels like an uphill battle most of the time because generally you're doing a lot more than your opponent, because you're juggling grenades, you're managing C4, you're like boxing when you think it's necessary or disengaging when you think it's necessary. And you're kind of figuring out and feeling out the matchup and the player at the same time. Because Snake is a very play-the-player character. There's very few matchups where Snake can kind of just get away with doing like only his autopilot. Like even the matchups where he wins because like the traps that he sets, the other character just doesn't have the mobility or like resources to deal with it. For example, Snake does really good against like Roy and Chrom. It's because they generally like to mash on shield and just get all up in your face. But Snake has the boxing options to deal with it. And on top of that, Grenade is just like a really good defensive option where even if something does get started and you do hit your combo starter, you won't get too much because the grenade's going to explode. Does Snake get nerfed up against bad players because he can't mind game them? They're just random? No, because if you're a bad player, you don't know how to fight Snake. And I like that you say that, Jankum, because I've talked before about how Zero Suit is hard to play against bad players because you don't know what they're going to do. Same with Joker, but like when you play against a bad player with Snake, they just run into all of your grenades and all of your setups and you don't have to think that hard. That's kind of why I called him a scrub stomper at the beginning of the video. Yeah, I guess the moral of the story about this video that Vars made was like, Snake's really good so people play him, but every single person who plays Snake, and I've talked to all of them almost, they love Snake. They think he's cool, and so do I.